kind of jinxed myself there, I think. We will see if YouTube holds up. We got about 3 or 4 minutes into the first one, but we will give this a shot. If it doesn't work this time, we are going to go to the computer and just have poorer video quality, but we will give it a shot. So first off, just like last time, I want to start off by giving Shaquille O'Neal, aka Shaq, huge props. He came out and basically said that free speech is worth protecting. This is obviously in regards to that single tweet from Rockets general manager Daryl Morey about supporting the Hong Kong protesters. And I want to bring this out because he's kind of the first big public figure in the NBA arena to stand his ground. Frankly, a lot of the powers that be chose not to. Obviously, we know that free speech isn't free. And for some of these individuals in the NBA in general, we're talking millions and millions of dollars. And they chose to take the money, or at least not risk losing the money. And I am positive that Shaq will get some flack, right? Any endorsements he had in China are over today, probably in the next 24 hours. But as a son of a father who was in the military, I believe off in New Orleans, if I remember his story from a teenager, he's like, nope, freedom of speech is one of the most important traits of being an American, and you have to stand up and voice your opinion for injustices. So I wanted to give a golf clap at least, because Olivia's still sleeping, to Shaq. Good on you. I'm really proud to see that. Um, Again, that freedom of speech isn't free, but we have to be able to suffer the consequences. And you probably lost some money today. But again, I'm glad that you can stand as a man, and that's okay. So, congratulations, thank you. Um, this isn't over for the NBA, right? As you know, the NBA decided not to, or the China decided not to air the opening night of the NBA, so they're kind of upset, and I would expect Shaq that you're probably not going to be welcome in China for a little while. So in the end, that's that. Let's go on to Boeing. Boeing released their numbers. In them, the thing that caught my attention is they are still expecting the 737 Max to get approval by end of the year. I think that is, uh, I don't know. I think given the smoke that we've talked about the last week or so on this channel, I'm not sure that's very likely. I think I think there is more senior leadership that are going to be asked to leave before the end of the year than this thing gets approved. So that's where I would put my money. Again, as always, I'm not a stock guy. I just try to follow the news and see where we're going with consumers and cost of capital. That's why I look every morning. But when there are topics like Boeing, we talked about WeWork for, I don't know, 8 or 9 weeks when it started, and it ended kind of how we expected, although much faster than I thought it would end. But when the bad news goes, it's crazy. Um, so again, the other thing to talk about here is I actually released a video that I think is important to watch yesterday called "The Adult Life," and it really talks about the default setting of working 40 hours for 40 years, and really highlights that a lot of us don't realize that we're playing a game or with a default setting. We haven't decided to change it. We haven't decided to change who's around us. So if you haven't seen that, take a look at it. It was posted yesterday afternoon. It's a passion project of mine that I worked on for a couple of weeks. Next up is Caterpillar. They missed on top and bottom line, and they're blaming their dealers, who I guess buy from them and then hold on in inventory that sell to the end consumer, farmers and the like. When I saw them miss, I was wondering if this was more a call on the global economy or the U.S. economy. And going into it, it really talked about the global economic uncertainty. At least that's how it was positioned. But Caterpillar obviously makes big, big machineries that are very expensive that are used to move mountains and dig tunnels and all of those things. So to see that people are, slashing inventories by $400 million at the dealers, that doesn't bode well for confidence, right? So, and worst off, they lowered their yearly forecast. So they're battening down the hatches. Business investment is down. All of that. So concerning, right? That's something we look for. Weekly mortgage applications were down a whopping 12%. Most of that was in refi demand because rates ticked up. I think I read from memory, it was like 3.82 to 4.02, something like that. So it went up a little bit, but in big mortgages, that makes a difference. So again, mortgage apps are something we track. They're very volatile. They adjust week to week. The one that I'd watch more frequently is purchase applications fell by 4%. That's the one I would follow, because if these things. Oh, thank you, Troy. You like the concepts of the 40 years? That was fun to make. So glad you watched it. Please share it. But back to mortgage applications, the purchase apps fell 4%. So that's something to watch. Again, as a real estate investor, I look at that and go, okay, are the consumers or the buyers, right, owner occupants, getting nervous? I'm not going to jump off any cliffs or anything with one 4% drop a week, but again, it's those numbers that add up over time that get interesting. Tesla reports after hours, and I remember talking about Tesla probably a month ago, and I said that Tesla is one of those things you need to decide, is this a need or a want? And in my video, I talked about Tesla being one of the most expensive wants out there. And I see them all over the Silicon Valley. I mean, just everywhere. And I'm just wondering, at what point do people get nervous and say, you know what, I'm gonna hold back and get something else. I don't know if it's this quarter. I doubt it is. I think this quarter will look okay. But sometime next year, Tesla is finally going to go, you know what? I don't really think I want a Tesla because I don't need it. So that'll be interesting to watch. And then the last thing to talk about is the housing market. And this was actually an interesting article by CNN. If you don't know, like the housing market, the development of land and new houses and all of that, while up comparatively speaking to the last couple of years, it's nowhere close to where it was back in 06, 07, 08. And I'm not saying those years were healthy, but the gap is so large. And one of the things that's interesting is we actually have a labor shortage, right? One of the things that we're seeing in the economy, or at least I propose we're seeing, is we're not building enough houses because of the labor shortage. When we crashed in 08, all the construction workers, roofers, plumbers had to find something else to do because we weren't building anything. Now, fast forward a decade or 12 years, and those people have been trained to do other stuff. And we really haven't created a new cycle of builders and construction and roofers and finish work and all of that. And I'm wondering if rates go down as I expect next year, and maybe the economy gets soft as I expect next year, I'm wondering if we're going to see a transition out of other work back to construction, and maybe housing holds us together as we limp through 2020 and 21. I don't know. It's an interesting article by CNN that I had to really look at and challenge myself to think about. So I like that. I like to look at this and like to see where I could be wrong. So that's what I have today. Again, shout out Shaq for standing up for free speech. And please go look at that 40/40 video. Troy was nice enough to comment that he liked the ideas in there. It's really about your adult life has been set up with the default setting, and you have the ability to change it. But you need to understand the consequences and choice and network and things. It was a thought provoking exercise, and I hope more of you check it out. And if you like it, please share, because too many people are running around this adult life with a default setting on, and it's up to us to share them and say, hey, there is really a different way to do this. All right, everybody, take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.